On Christmas Eve, a lonely billionaire stops inside a glowing New York station, then hears three tiny voices crying together. They aren't lost. They're waiting. What he chooses to do next will uncover a buried past, test his heart, and turn a silent night into a family's second chance forever changed. Grand Central glowed like a snow globe, golden chandeliers, evergreen garlands, and the soft echo of carols from a distant string quartet. But Graham Alden walked through it like a man made of winter. He wasn't rushing. He never rushed anymore. A perfectly tailored coat, a muted scarf, a face the tabloids called untouchable, and eyes that looked like they'd forgotten what home felt like. He paused under the big departures board. Trains blinked cities. People blinked hopes. He checked his phone. No messages. None he wanted anyway. Across the concourse, a small Christmas tree stood near a help desk, ornaments shining like little planets. For a moment, Graham remembered a Christmas from long ago. A cheap paper crown. Hot chocolate too sweet. A stranger patting his hair and saying, "You'll be okay, kid." That was all anyone gave him. A sentence. Tonight he had everything else, money, real estate, headlines. And still he felt like a guest in his own life. He turned to leave. And then he heard it. Not screaming, not chaos, just three soft, trembling cries like tiny birds shivering in the cold air of a public place. Graham stopped so abruptly, a passerby nearly bumped him. He followed the sound to a quiet corner by a pillar where the lighting was dimmer and the crowds thinned. And there they were. Three little girls. Same height. Same curls. Same red noses from the cold. All 5-year-old triplets, unmistakable. They were huddled close, holding hands like they'd invented bravery. One clutched a small plush bunny. Another held a folded paper with scribbles. The third stared up at the ceiling like she was trying to spot God among the lights. Graham's instincts, trained in boardrooms and risk reports, said, "Don't touch, don't assume, don't make mistakes." So he did the first responsible thing. He stepped toward the station help desk and spoke clearly. "I need assistance. 3 children appear lost. Please call station security and child services immediately." A security officer moved fast, professional, calm, not alarming the girls. Graham turned back to them and lowered himself to their level, keeping his voice gentle, slow, and safe. "Hi," he said. "My name is Graham. You're not in trouble, you're safe. Can you tell me your names?" "The girl with the bunny," whispered Junie. "The girl with the paper," said Lila. The girl staring at the lights blinked hard and said Poppy. Their hands tightened together. Junie's lips trembled. "We're waiting." Graham's throat tightened. "Okay," he said softly. "Who are you waiting for?" Lila swallowed. "Our mom." Poppy's voice was barely a breath. She said she'd come back, before the lights turned off, and something in Graham, something locked away for decades, shifted. Not panic, not anger, just a quiet, dangerous feeling. This matters. Station security arrived with a gentle calm, like they'd trained for moments exactly like this. A female officer knelt beside the girls. "Hey, sweethearts, I'm Officer Ramirez. We're going to help you." Graham stayed back half a step, close enough to be reassuring, far enough to be respectful. Officer Ramirez asked simple questions: names, age, mom's name, a phone number. Lila unfolded her paper with shaking fingers. It wasn't a phone number. It was a child's drawing, 3 stick-figure girls holding hands under a heart. Above it, in careful letters, "Mom equals Elise," Junie added. "She told us to stay where the big clock can see us." Graham looked up. The iconic clock. Of course, a mother choosing the most visible place. A decision made from fear and hope, without turning it into harm. Officer Ramirez spoke quietly to the help desk. A missing person protocol began. Announcements were prepared without broadcasting the children's details. Graham's mind ran scenarios like an algorithm, but his heart did something else. He noticed Poppy's shoes, clean but thin. He noticed Junie's fingers, cold, tucked under her sleeves. He noticed Lila trying to look older than 5. That kind of courage doesn't come from nothing. Officer Ramirez said, "Sir, thank you for reporting. We'll handle this. We may need a witness statement." Graham nodded. Of course. And then Junie looked up at him. Not like a beggar. Not like a victim. Like a child trying to decide if the world was safe. "Mr. Graham," she said as if she'd known him forever, "do you know where moms go when they're late?" His chest compressed. He didn't answer with drama. He answered with certainty. Sometimes grown-ups get stuck. Sometimes phones die. Sometimes life gets complicated, he said gently. But you're not alone right now. There are people here whose job is to keep you safe. Officer Ramirez offered the girls warm cocoa from a station vendor paid by the department, logged properly. Graham quietly offered to cover it, but the officer shook her head. "We do this by the book." Graham respected that. A child welfare advocate arrived, Dana Park, warm eyes, clipboard, calm voice. She introduced herself to the girls and explained everything in language 5-year-olds could understand. "Your mom loves you. Right now we're going to make sure you're warm, okay?" Junie asked. "Are we going to jail?" Dana smiled softly. "Oh, honey, no. You did nothing wrong." Lila asked, "Will Mom be mad?" Dana shook her head. "She'll be relieved you're safe." Poppy, quiet until now, whispered, "Can we keep holding hands?" Dana crouched. "Yes. You can hold hands as long as you want." Graham watched the way Dana moved like safety had a tone of voice. He was about to step away, give his statement, return to his empty mansion, when the girls stood still holding hands like a small unit of hope. And Dana said, "Sir, we may need temporary placement tonight. The system will find an emergency foster bed, but it could take time. Would you be willing to stay nearby as a familiar face while we process?" Graham didn't promise anything reckless. He just said, "I'm here." And in his head a quiet thought repeated, "I'm here, I'm here, I'm here." Dana led the girls to a family room inside the station, bright, warm, with chairs and a little coloring table. Graham sat across from them, hands folded, posture controlled. Inside, he felt undone. Junie placed her bunny on the table like it was a tiny guardian. Lila lined up 3 crayons by color. Poppy leaned into her sisters, breathing slower now. Dana spoke with Graham privately, but within sight of the girls. "We're contacting the mother," she said. "If we can't reach her, the children must be placed somewhere approved." "Do you have any relationship to the family?" Graham answered honestly. "None. I just found them." Dana studied him. Not judgmental, professional. "I appreciate your calm," she said. "Kids absorb adult energy. You kept it safe." Graham swallowed. "They shouldn't be here alone." "They won't stay alone," Dana said. "That's the point. We protect them." Junie suddenly looked up from her bunny. "Mr. Graham, are you going home?" The word home hit him like cold air. He hesitated. Then he chose truth that wouldn't frighten. "Yes," he said. "Eventually," Lila asked, "is your home?" Loud. Graham's mouth tightened. "No," Poppy whispered. "Is it lonely?" He didn't answer fast enough. Dana stepped in gently. "Sometimes homes are quiet, but quiet can change." A station announcement played holiday greetings, train updates. Life kept moving, and then a security officer returned. "We haven't located the mother yet. We're still calling and checking cameras." Dana sighed softly, steadying herself. "Okay." The girls didn't cry again. That was what broke Graham. They were 5, and they were trying to be brave. He stood and walked toward Dana, careful. "If the system needs time," he said quietly, "what's the safest, most legal next step?" Dana didn't flinch at the question. She liked it. "We can do an emergency placement request if you're willing," she said. "But it requires background verification, a home check, and consent protocols. It's not instant. And it's only if it's in the children's best interest." Graham nodded. Do it. Dana searched his face. Why Graham didn't perform heroism. He didn't call himself kind. He just said, I know what it's like to sit somewhere public on a holiday and wonder if anyone is coming. Junie overheard, and her eyes softened. Dana moved quickly, calls, forms, approvals. Station personnel confirmed Graham's identity. A police welfare check unit coordinated with child services. Everything was lawful, documented, supervised. Hours later, Dana returned to the family room with a gentle smile. Girls, she said, we have a safe plan for tonight. Mr. Graham's home has been approved for a temporary stay, only with supervision and paperwork. Lila's voice trembled. Will you come too? Dana nodded. Yes. I'll check in and stay until you're settled. Junie asked, will Mom find us? Donna said carefully, warmly. We will leave official messages, and we will keep looking. Poppy looked at Graham like she was reading him. Do you have a Christmas tree? Graham exhaled, almost a laugh, almost a tear. I do, he said softly. It's been waiting for someone to notice it, and for the first time in years, he realized maybe he had been waiting too. Graham's car rolled through Manhattan streets, lit with holiday shimmer. Dana rode behind the driver, the girls safely buckled each with a small blanket provided by child services. No luxury theatrics, no rescuer energy, just calm, warmth, procedure. When they arrived, the townhouse looked like a magazine cover wreath on the doorlights, precise windows glowing like they were staged for strangers. Inside, Ms. Rowe opened the door with surprise that quickly became composure. Sir, she asked. Graham didn't explain dramatically. Ms. Rowe, these children need a safe place tonight. Dana Park is here with child services. Please follow her instructions. Ms. Rowe nodded immediately. Of course. The girls stepped in and froze. The floor shined. The air smelled like pine and quiet. A giant Christmas tree stood in the corner, beautiful, expensive, untouched. Junie whispered, It's big. Lila whispered, It's too clean. Poppy whispered, It's warm. Dana guided them to a cozy sitting room already approved for the stay. Miss Rowe brought snacks and warm milk, simple, child-friendly, safe. Graham watched the girls eat slowly, politely, like they were afraid to ask for anything. He kept his voice soft. You can have more if you're hungry. Junie looked up. Is it allowed? It's allowed, he said. Lila stared at the tree. Do you open presents? Graham paused. I haven't in a long time. Poppy took a cautious step toward the ornaments, then stopped herself like she'd been trained not to touch beautiful things. Graham's heart tightened. He walked over, took one ornament, plain silver, and held it out. You may hang this, he told her. If you want. Poppy's eyes widened. She reached carefully like touching a dream. Donna observed, approving. That's a good choice, she murmured to Graham. Permission, control. Safety. Upstairs, Ms. Rowe prepared a guest suite, 3 small beds arranged together, nightlight ready, extra teddy bears placed like friendly sentries. Dana reviewed the plan with the girls' bedtime bathrooms, who to call what happens in the morning. She made it predictable. You are safe, Dana repeated, and adults are handling the grown-up parts. Junie's shoulders finally dropped. At the door, Lila looked at Graham and asked the question that was too big for her tiny mouth. Do you have kids? Graham swallowed. No, he said. Not that I know of. And the universe, quiet, ruthless, held that sentence for later. Graham didn't leave the hallway until he heard the soft rhythm of 3 small breaths settling into sleep. Dana stayed long enough to confirm stability, then spoke with Graham privately. They're regulated, not distressed, she said. Good. Keep it that way. No surprises, no dramatic talks. Graham nodded. What happens next? Tomorrow we continue locating the mother. If she's in crisis, we connect her with services. If she's simply unreachable, we expand outreach. Either way, children stay protected. Graham's voice lowered. They asked if their mom will be mad. Dana's eyes softened. Most parents in crisis feel shame first, not anger. Speak hope, not fear. After Dana left, Ms. Rowe approached with a quiet list in hand. Sir, I prepared oatmeal fruit and pancakes for morning, she said. Also, I found 3 child-sized robes from the guest storage. We'll keep everything documented. Graham nodded, grateful. He walked into his office, dark leather perfect. A room built for control. But tonight he wasn't thinking about markets. He sat at his desk and typed the name from Lila's paper into a secure database through Dana's provided contact channel. Elise. The search returned too many results. So he tried again with what the girls had said: Mom works at a store. Used to. We moved. Graham stopped. He didn't want to snoop. He wanted to help legally. So he called Miles Carr, his licensed investigator, and said one thing: Miles, I need you to find a woman named Elise Marlowe, 35, mother of 5-year-old triplets. This is a child welfare matter. Coordinate through Dana Park. Paperwork first. Miles didn't ask tabloid questions. Understood. I'll keep it clean, he said. Graham stared at a framed photo on his shelf himself at 20, sunburned, laughing, standing beside a girl with curly hair and bright eyes. He hadn't looked at it in years. The caption on the back read, Brighton Summer Elise. His hand went still. He felt something cold in his chest, and it wasn't the weather. He whispered the name like a question. Elise. Footsteps padded softly behind him. Junie stood in the doorway, in her robe bunny under her arm, eyes half asleep. Mr. Graham, she whispered. I had a bad dream. Graham rose immediately and crouched to her height. What kind, he asked. Junie's voice shook. In my dream, we were small, and nobody knew our names. Graham's throat tightened. He didn't say, don't be scared. He said something better. I know your name, he told her. And I'm here. And Ms. Rowe is here. And Dana is helping. You're safe. Junie blinked slowly. Can you tell me a story? So he did. A gentle story about 3 stars that got separated from their sky and a lighthouse that didn't let them disappear. When Junie finally slept again, Graham returned to his office. He looked at the old photo. And for the first time, the silence in his mansion felt like it was about to break, not with noise, but with truth. Morning arrived like a soft apology, pale winter sunlight across polished floors. In the kitchen, Graham attempted pancakes under Ms. Rowe's steady supervision. Junie, Lila, and Poppy sat at the counter wearing matching robes, hair still sleepy, eyes brighter than yesterday. Poppy watched the batter pour like it was magic. Lila inspected the syrup label like a detective. Junie hugged her bunny and smiled when Graham flipped a pancake successfully. Ms. Rowe quietly placed 3 small plates in front of them. Graham said, You can eat as much as you want. There will be more later, too. The girls ate slowly, then faster relief disguised as appetite. Graham kept his questions gentle, age-appropriate. Tell me something you like about your mom, he said. Junie smiled immediately. She sings when she cleans. Lila added, She makes stories out of nothing. Poppy whispered, She kisses our foreheads, even when she's tired. Graham's chest ached. He asked carefully, Do you remember her phone number? Lila shook her head. We don't have it. Mom said phones cost too much. What about a friend? Graham asked. Junie thought hard. There's Noah. He brought soup once. Lila nodded. Noah Reyes. He has a blue jacket. Graham didn't react outwardly, but his mind recorded it. Dana arrived mid-morning with a calm smile and a file folder. Good news, she said. We have leads. Not full answers yet. She knelt beside the girls. Your mom hasn't been found yet, sweethearts, but we're working. You are safe here today. Poppy asked. Can we draw her a picture so she knows where we are? Dana's face softened. That's a beautiful idea. The girls drew at the table 3 hearts, 1 big house, a tree, and 4 stick figures. The 4th figure had a suit. Lila wrote in careful letters, "We are safe." Graham turned away for a second, blinking hard. Dana spoke to Graham privately. Miles reported Elise Marlowe worked retail, then lost hours. There's a record of an eviction notice, but nothing criminal. She may have sought temporary shelter. Graham's voice was quiet. The photo in my office. I knew an Elise in my 20s. Dana paused, professional but attentive. You're saying you may have a personal connection? Graham swallowed. Possibly. Dana didn't dramatize. She simply said, "Then we proceed carefully. No assumptions, no pressure. The mother's dignity matters too." Graham nodded. Always. Junie ran up and held out a drawing to Graham. It showed 3 girls holding hands, and a man beside them not towering but kneeling eye level. Junie said, "This is you being nice." Graham's voice cracked slightly. "Thank you." And inside him another truth formed, quiet but irreversible. He didn't just want to keep them safe for a night. He wanted to become someone worthy of their trust. That afternoon, Miles' car called with the kind of tone professionals use when they're walking into fragile territory. "We found Elise Marlowe's recent records," he said. "She checked into a women's support center in Harlem 3 days ago under a shortened version of her name. She's safe. She requested privacy." Graham exhaled relief first, then fear. "Can she meet?" Graham asked. Through Dana, Miles replied, "This must be done properly. Consent scheduling and a calm setting." Dana arranged it within hours because the children's well-being didn't wait for comfort. Graham sat in his living room with the girls. He didn't promise what he couldn't guarantee. He told them only what was safe. "Someone may have found a place where your mom has been staying," he said gently. "Adults are helping her. We're going to see if she's ready to talk." Lila's eyes filled. "Is she sick?" Graham chose honest softness. "I don't know yet, but she's not alone." Poppy asked, "Does she have a blanket?" Ms. Rowe smiled. "Shelters keep people warm, sweetheart." Junie asked the hardest question, simple as a pin. "Did we do something wrong?" Graham crouched. "No. You did everything right. You stayed together. You stayed visible. You asked for help." Dana arrived to escort Graham alone to meet Elise first. "The children should not be part of the first conversation," Dana explained. "They need predictability, not emotional surprises." Graham agreed immediately. In the car, he watched the city pass holiday lights on storefronts, people carrying gifts, laughter spilling from bars. And he thought of Elise, the woman from his memory, Brighton Beach. Salt air. A laugh that sounded like freedom. A promise they were too young to keep. At the shelter, the hallway was simple, quiet, respectful. A social worker led Graham into a small meeting room. And there she was, Elise Marlowe. Not broken, not helpless. Just tired, like someone who'd been carrying the world with one arm. Her hair was pulled back. Her hands were clasped tight in her lap. Her eyes, those eyes, lifted to his. For a second, the room became 25 years ago. Then she whispered, "Graham." His voice went low. "Elise." Silence spread between them, heavy but not cruel. Elise's first words weren't about herself. "They're safe," she asked, breath shaking. "My girls, please tell me they're safe." Graham nodded. "They are safe. They are warm. They are extraordinary." Elise's shoulders dropped like a door unlatching. Tears came, but she wiped them fast like she couldn't afford them. "I didn't want to scare them," she said quickly. "I didn't want them to see me falling apart." Dana sat nearby, grounding the room. "Elise, you did the right thing coming here. Now we build the next step." Elise looked at Graham, fear and pride twisting together. "I didn't think you'd be the one," she whispered. "I didn't think life would circle back. Graham didn't ask why she vanished. Not yet. He asked the only question that mattered first. How can we reunite them with you safely, he said. Elise's lips trembled. Are they angry, she asked. And Graham, who once spoke like a man made of steel, answered like a man learning to be human. No, he said softly. They just miss you. Dana guided the conversation with care. Elise, she said, we'll focus on the children first. They need stability. Then we address long-term plans. Elise nodded, swallowing hard. I agree. Graham sat forward slightly. I want to help. Legally, responsibly. Elise's eyes sharpened. She was still proud. I'm not asking for charity. Graham didn't flinch. Then don't call it that. Call it support for the girls. Elise looked down, fingers tightening. I lost my job when the store cut staff, she said. Then the rent went up. I tried everything. I picked up shifts. I sold little things. I kept smiling in front of them. She paused and shame tried to climb into her voice. Dana interrupted gently. No shame in hardship, Elise. Elise blinked fast. I kept telling myself one more day, one more week, then I'll fix it. Graham's jaw tightened, not in blame, but in recognition. He knew that kind of tunnel vision. He'd lived in it for years. Elise continued, careful with details, no threats, no fear-mongering, no trauma language. I felt cornered by bills and deadlines, she said. I thought, if I could get somewhere safe to breathe, I could come back with a plan. I chose a bright public place. I left them where help could find them quickly. Dana nodded. You made a protective choice under pressure. Elise's eyes lifted to Graham again. But I didn't think someone like you would see them. I didn't think you would care. Graham's voice lowered. I cared because they were children. That's all it takes. Elise's breath hitched. She studied his face as if searching for a trick. Then she asked the question he'd been avoiding since the first moment he saw their matching curls. Graham. She whispered, how old are they exactly? 5, he said. Elise shut her eyes for one long second, then opened them again. Graham. I never told you, she said. I told myself I would. I told myself I'd find you. But life got loud and I got small. Graham felt the room tilt. Dana watched him closely. Graham, if there's a paternity question, it must be handled ethically. Consent. Legal process. No surprises. Graham nodded immediately. Agreed. He looked at Elise. Elise, I'm not here to accuse. I'm here to protect them. If there's anything you want to tell me, you can. And if you're not ready, we do nothing until you are. Elise's eyes shimmered. They might be yours, she admitted, voice barely audible. I wasn't certain at first. And then time passed and you became Graham Alden, the man on billboards, the man who looked unreachable. Graham's throat tightened painfully. I was never unreachable, he whispered. I was just lost in my own life. Elise let out a shaky breath like she'd been holding it for 5 years. Dana spoke gently. We can arrange a legal discreet test if Elise consents, but today's priority is reunion, slow, safe, child-centered. Elise nodded. Yes. Please, I want to see them. Graham stood, voice steady. Then we'll do it right, he said. No shock, no pressure, just love and honesty. And for the first time in years, Graham Alden felt hope that didn't come from numbers. It came from 3 small names: Junie, Lila, Poppy. Dinah arranged the reunion at Graham's townhouse, familiar environment for the girls. She prepared Elise carefully. No dramatic entrances, no guilt speeches. Keep your tone calm. Let them lead. Elise nodded, clutching a small tote bag. Inside were 3 matching hair clips, inexpensive but chosen with love. At the townhouse, Ms. Rowe opened the door and guided Elise into the sitting room. The girls were already there, drawing, Junie looked up first. Her pencil froze mid-air. "Mom," she whispered. Lila stood slowly, eyes wide, as if afraid the word would break the moment. Poppy didn't move at all, then suddenly ran forward, arms open like she'd been holding that run inside her chest for days. Elise dropped to her knees and opened her arms. "My babies," she breathed. The girls rushed in, not messy, not chaotic, just pure, trembling relief. Elise hugged them like she was rebuilding herself with every heartbeat. "I'm sorry I was gone," she whispered, keeping it simple, age-appropriate. "I love you, I love you, I love you." Junie touched Elise's cheek like she needed proof. Lila's voice shook. "Are you leaving again?" Elise swallowed hard, then said the safest truth. "I'm here now," she promised, "and I'm working with helpers to make sure we stay together." Poppy asked, "Did you eat?" Elise blinked, then smiled through tears. "I did, and now I want to see you eat too." Graham stayed back, giving space, but Junie noticed him and turned. "Mr. Graham helped us," she told Elise proudly. Elise's eyes lifted to Graham, gratitude and disbelief tangled together. "Thank you," she whispered. Graham nodded. "They did the brave part. I just listened." Dana guided everyone toward the couch. Family positioned naturally, Elise in the middle, 3 girls tucked close like kittens under a warm blanket. Dana said, "We're going to make a plan. A safe plan. Everyone will know what happens next." Lila's eyes darted between adults. "Are we in trouble?" Dana shook her head. "Number, not you. Grown-ups handle grown-up problems with help." Poppy looked at Graham, then Elise. "Can we have a Christmas again?" Silence softened. Then Graham spoke carefully, respectfully. "If Elise agrees," he said, "we can make tonight peaceful, simple, warm, together." Elise hesitated, old pride rising, then saw her daughter's hopeful faces, and pride turned into something better. Trust. "Yes," she said softly. "Together." The legal paternity process moved quietly. Dana handled paperwork, Elise gave written consent, and everything was done privately and ethically. No dramatic secret swab, no betrayal, no shock, just adults doing the hard thing the right way. While waiting for results, Graham didn't claim anything. He didn't say "my daughters," he said "the girls," and yet he showed up like a father in training. He learned their preferences. Junie liked stories about brave animals. Lila liked lining things up, crayons, cookies, socks, like order could protect her. Poppy liked drawing faces and asking gentle questions no one expected a 5-year-old to ask. Elise remained cautious, polite, grateful, but scared. One evening while the girls colored at the table, Elise whispered to Graham in the kitchen. "I don't know how to live in a house like this," she admitted. "I feel like I'm borrowing air." Graham's response was soft and real. "Then don't borrow," he said. "Breathe." Elise blinked. "It's not that simple." Graham nodded. "You're right, it isn't. So we make it simple on purpose. Routine, school, meals, quiet nights, professionals helping." Elise's eyes filled. "You're being kinder than I deserve." Graham's voice lowered. "Kindness isn't something you earn. It's something children should be surrounded by. Always." That night, Junie asked Graham, "Do you have parents?" Graham paused. "Not anymore." Junie climbed into his lap without permission like a tiny hurricane of trust, then looked up and said, "Then you can borrow ours." Graham laughed once short and broken and kissed her hair lightly, respectful and careful. "I might," he whispered. Days later, the results arrived. Dana asked for a private meeting with Graham and Elise. Elise's hands trembled. "Whatever it says, I don't want the girls to feel like a mistake." Graham looked at her with steady seriousness. "They're not a mistake," he said. "They're a miracle." Dana opened the file, eyes, professional voice calm. 99.9% probability, she said. A beat of silence. Graham's vision blurred. Elise covered her mouth, tears spilling quietly. Relief, grief, shock, and a strange kind of peace. Graham didn't leap, didn't declare ownership, didn't rewrite history in 1 second. He simply whispered, high like he was meeting them for the first time, "My girls." And Elise, still shaking, managed one small sentence. "I'm sorry I didn't find you sooner." Graham's answer was the only one that could heal instead of punish. "We're here now," he said. "That's what matters." Dana was clear, the girls must learn this gently over time. No big reveal scene. So the next day, they did it with safety and warmth. They sat on the rug in the living room, Christmas lights, still up, soft music in the background. Ms. Rowe brought cookies shaped like stars. Elise began. "Sweethearts, we want to tell you something important." Lila immediately tensed. "Are we moving again?" Elise pulled her close. "No, you're staying safe." Graham took a breath. "This is about family." Junie tilted her head. "We already have family." Graham smiled. "Yes, and sometimes family is bigger than we thought," Elise said carefully. "When you were born, we didn't know where Graham was in our life. But now we do." Poppy's eyes widened. "Is he?" Our Uncle Graham chuckled softly. "Not exactly." Elise continued, "Graham is your father." Silence. Not scared silence, just processing silence. Junie blinked, like, "A dad." Graham nodded, voice steady. "Yes." Lila looked at Elise. "Is it true?" Elise nodded. "Yes, baby." Poppy stared at Graham for a long time, then asked the purest question. "Do you know how to braid hair?" Graham paused. "I can learn." Junie smiled. "Then you can be our dad." Lila Practical asked. "Does this mean we get 2 birthdays?" Dana laughed softly, keeping it light. "Nice try." Then Poppy crawled forward and placed her small hand on Graham's sleeve. "Are you going to be nice forever?" she asked. Graham felt his heart twist. He didn't promise perfection. He promised responsibility. "I will always be safe," he said. "I will always be kind. And I will always show up." Junie leaned in. "Can we call you?" Dad Graham's throat tightened. He looked at Elise, asking permission with his eyes. Elise nodded, tears shining. "If you want," Graham said gently, "I would be honored." Junie tried it like tasting a new word. "Dad." Lila tried it quietly. "Dad." Poppy smiled so small it almost disappeared, then hugged him around the neck like she'd been waiting to land somewhere solid. And Graham, billionaire, legend, lonely man, closed his eyes and held them carefully, like you hold something holy. Dana watched, satisfied. This was how you do it. No spectacle, no harm, just truth given with tenderness. The story didn't turn perfect overnight. It turned real. Junie began asking for Graham at bedtime, one more story, one more minute, one more proof he wouldn't vanish. Lila started packing small, just in case bags, tiny socks, a crayon, a cookie, until Elise and Dana gently coached her towards safety routines. Poppy drew pictures of the house and labeled it "Home" in bright purple marker. Elise began therapy through the support center. Dana helped arrange it. Graham covered costs quietly, legally, with no strings. One night, Elise stood in the kitchen staring at a pancake that had gone wrong. She whispered, "I can't even do this right." Graham stepped beside her, calm. "Pancakes are not motherhood." Elise's eyes filled, but I was gone. Graham didn't erase it. He reframed it safely. "You were in crisis," he said, "and you chose visibility and help. That was protective." Elise's shoulders shook. I hated myself for it. Graham's voice softened. "Then let's replace hate with action. Day by day." At the table, Junie asked, "Mom, can you sing again?" Elise blinked. Right now, Junie nodded. So Elise sang quiet, shaky, but real. A lullaby that sounded like forgiveness being built from scratch. Graham listened like a man learning a language he forgot existed. And then the doorbell rang. Ms. Rowe answered, then returned with a calm expression. "Sir," she said, "there's a man here. He says he knows Elise. He's asking to speak with Dana. Dana arrived professional and steady. Graham's stomach tightened. Not fear, not threat, just the tension of unknown. Dana stepped to the door and spoke with the man privately first. Moments later, she returned. "Elise," she said gently. "His name is Noah Reyes. He's listed as an emergency contact in an old file. He says he helped you once." Elise went pale. "Noah." Graham didn't posture. He asked Dana, "Is it safe and appropriate?" Dana nodded. "Yes. He's cooperative. He wants to check on the girls." Elise looked torn. Junie overheard and said, "Is Noah the blue jacket?" Elise blinked, surprised. "Yes," Lila asked. "Is he nice?" Elise whispered. "He tried to be." Graham stood. "Then we handle it like adults. Calm. Clear. The girls first." And the house, once silent with loneliness, prepared for a new chapter. Not conflict, but complexity. The kind families learn to hold. Noah Reyes stepped into the living room with a respectful distance, hands visible, voice quiet. He looked like a man who'd known struggle but didn't wear it like a weapon. When he saw the girls, his eyes softened. "There you are," he said gently. "Hi, Junie." "Hi, Lila. Hi, Poppy." The girls stared, curious, cautious, not scared. Dana introduced everyone, properly setting boundaries. "Noah, this is a child-centered environment," she said. "No heavy conversations, no confusion. You can be supportive, but we proceed slowly." Noah nodded immediately. "Of course." Elise's voice shook. "Why are you here?" Noah swallowed. "I saw a notice through the support network. I wanted to make sure you were okay." Graham stood nearby, present, not territorial. Noah looked at him. "You're Graham Alden." Graham nodded. "Yes." Noah's gaze returned to Elise. "I didn't know." Elise whispered. "Neither did he. Until now." Noah exhaled. "I'm glad they're safe." Junie walked up to Noah and asked bluntly, "Do you have soup today?" Noah smiled through surprise. "Not today." "But I can bring some tomorrow," Lila asked. "Why did you help our mom?" Noah crouched a little, careful, because sometimes people need help, and it's the right thing to do. Poppy stared at him thoughtfully. "Are you part of our family?" Dana watched the adults. This was the moment where mistakes could happen. Graham spoke first, steady and safe. "Families can be built in different ways," he said. "Noah is someone who cared about your mom. That matters." Elise nodded. "Yes, sweetheart. Noah is someone who helped us," Noah added gently. "I'm not here to take anyone's place. I'm here to support. If you want me around sometimes like a friend, I'll be honored." Dana smiled, approving. "That's appropriate." After Noah left, Elise sank onto the couch, overwhelmed. "I thought I'd lost every bridge," she whispered. Graham sat beside her, not touching unless invited. "You didn't lose them," he said. "Some bridges just waited." Elise looked at him, eyes raw. "How are you not angry?" Graham's answer was quiet and cinematic. "Because I already wasted enough years on empty rooms," he said. "I won't waste these years on blame." And in the corner, Poppy drew 3 hearts. One labeled Mom, one labeled Dad, one labeled Noah, and she wrote, "Love can be big." Weeks passed. The Christmas lights came down, but the warmth stayed. The girls began kindergarten interviews. Dana ensured every step followed child welfare standards. Elise stabilized her housing plan with support services and Graham's lawful assistance. Graham rearranged his schedule, board meetings, moved calls, shortened. For the first time, he cared about the hour between 5 p.m. and bedtime. Junie wanted bedtime stories. Lila wanted calendars. Poppy wanted art supplies and permission to make messes. Miss Rowe became the calm anchor of the home. Elise regained confidence slowly, like learning to stand after a long fall. One evening, Lila asked, "Do we have to leave this house?" Elise froze, fear in her eyes. Graham answered first, safe and clear. "No one is forcing you to leave," suddenly he said. Adults will plan together. You'll always know what's happening, Lila breathed out. That night, Elise found Graham alone by the window. You changed your life, she whispered. Graham didn't deny it. They changed it. Elise hesitated. I want to work again. I want to rebuild. Graham nodded. Good. We'll support independence, not dependence. Elise blinked. You really mean that? I do, Graham said. I don't want you trapped by gratitude. I want you free with safety. Elise's eyes filled. That's the kindest thing anyone's ever offered. In the living room, Noah visited occasionally, always with Dana's awareness, always with boundaries. He brought soup books, and one time a small snow globe. Poppy shook it and whispered, It's like our first night, except happy. Graham heard that and felt the old ache shift into something steadier, purpose. He started a small foundation initiative, quietly supporting family support centers in NYC, without publicizing Elise's story. Because dignity mattered. And then the first real test arrived, not a threat, not violence, just life. A school form asked for father's name. Junie wrote Graham in huge letters. Lila wrote Graham bio plus Noah friend with a tiny arrow. Poppy drew a heart and wrote Dads can help. Elise stared at the papers and whispered, How do I explain this to the world? Graham's voice was calm. We don't owe the world an explanation, he said. We owe the girls stability. And stability day by day became their new language. At the school gate, another parent smiled too brightly and asked Elise, So, who's the father? It wasn't malicious, just careless, but Elise's chest tightened. Graham stood beside her, not dominating, just present. He answered with a polite, firm calm. We're the parents, he said. That's what matters. Later, Hugo-like conflict from the original is replaced by a safe, emotional moment. Junie came home quiet. Elise knelt. What's wrong, sweetheart? Junie whispered. A kid said, Moms don't leave if they love you. Elise's face went pale. Graham moved slowly, sat down at Junie's level, voice steady. Junie, he said, sometimes adults have problems they don't know how to solve yet. That doesn't mean they don't love you. It means they need help. Junie's eyes filled, but it hurt. Graham nodded. Yes, words can hurt. When that happens, you tell a teacher and you tell us. We will help. Elise swallowed hard. I love you, she told Junie. Every second. Junie leaned into her mother. Then stay. Elise held her gently. I'm staying. That night, Elise and Graham talked privately. I'm scared the past will follow them, Elise whispered. Graham replied, Then we teach them a new story. Not we were left, but we were found. Elise cried quietly, not from shame, but from the relief of someone finally sharing the weight. Poppy later slipped a drawing under Graham's door. It showed 3 girls under a big umbrella. 2 adults held the handle together. Under it, she wrote safe. And Graham Alden, who once measured life in profit and loss, realized healing had a different math. It multiplied. The townhouse became a home in small, unglamorous ways. Tiny shoes lined by the door, a permanent box of crayons on the table. A weekly family meeting, Dana recommended 5-minute stickers as rewards, clear plans. Elise started classes again online first, then in person. Literature writing, rebuilding her voice. Graham attended a parenting workshop quietly, anonymously. No headlines, just humility. One evening, Graham attempted hair braiding. It was terrible. Junie laughed so hard she hiccuped. Lila assessed the braid like a scientist. Dad, it looks confused. Poppy patted his shoulder. It's okay. You're learning. Elise watched from the doorway, smile trembling with emotion. Later on the balcony, Elise whispered, I never imagined this. Graham's eyes were on the city lights. Neither did I. Elise looked down. I still feel undeserving sometimes. Graham answered carefully. Then don't focus on deserving. Focus on doing. Being present, making dinner, showing up. Elise nodded slowly. Inside, Poppy asked Ms. Rowe, "Do you think Dad was lonely before us?" Ms. Rowe smiled gently. "I think he was waiting." Lila asked, "For what, Ms.?" Rowe looked toward the living room where Graham was building a puzzle with Junie. "For love," she said. That night, Elise kissed each girl's forehead twice, no rushed goodbye, no fear. Junie whispered, "Mom, if you ever feel sad, tell us." Elise blinked, while Junie shrugged like it was obvious. "Because we're your team." Elise hugged her tight. Graham stood in the doorway, eyes shining. He didn't interrupt. He simply made another quiet promise: "I will not be a holiday father. I will be a daily father." Dana recommended an age-appropriate truth talk, not to relive pain, just to remove confusion. So on a Sunday afternoon, they sat together with hot cocoa and a simple rule. If a question feels big, adults answer it gently. Lila asked first, "Why didn't you tell Dad?" before Elise inhaled. "I was scared, and I thought I could handle everything alone." Graham added, "And I was busy building a life that looked successful, but felt empty." Junie asked, "Did you want us?" Elise's eyes filled immediately. "Yes. Every day." Graham nodded. "Yes, I just didn't know you existed yet. But now that I do, there's nothing I want more than to be your dad." Poppy asked, "Is Noah still our friend?" Elise smiled. "Yes, if you want him to be." Graham added, "People who love you can fit in different places in your life." Dana watched their faces. This was healing in real time. Junie leaned into Graham. "Then we have a lot of love." Graham whispered, "The most." That evening, Noah visited and brought a small book, The Many Ways Families Grow. Poppy hugged him and said, "You're a bonus." Noah laughed. "A bonus is my favorite kind." Graham, to his own surprise, smiled at Noah, not jealousy, not fear, just gratitude. Because the goal was never possession. It was protection. Elise got a part-time job at a local library, quiet, stable, meaningful. Not because she had to prove herself, but because she wanted her life back. Graham supported it without controlling it. He drove her to her first shift and waited in the car like a calm anchor. Elise returned with a small smile. "I remembered who I am." Graham said, "Good." At dinner, the girls celebrated with paper crowns and plastic jewels from a craft kit. Junie declared, "Mom is the queen of books," Lila added, "and Dad is the king of pancakes, but still learning." Poppy raised her cup. To us, Graham laughed, real laughter, not polite. That night, Elise stood in the doorway of Graham's office. "I need to say something," she whispered. Graham looked up. Elise's voice shook. "Thank you. For not making me feel like a villain." Graham stood slowly. "You were never a villain," he said. "You were a mother under pressure who chose the safest option she could see." Elise cried quietly. "I wish I could erase it." Graham's voice softened. "We can't erase. We can rebuild." Elise nodded. Together, Graham didn't rush romance. He didn't turn it into a movie kiss. He simply reached for her hand, asking with his eyes first. Elise let him, and that was enough. 1 year later, Grand Central glowed again. But this time, Graham didn't walk alone. Junie, Lila, and Poppy held his hands, one on each side and one wrapped around his arm. Elise walked beside them with a scarf the girls had chosen, bright, silly, joyful. Noah met them there too, carrying a small box of cookies. The girls pointed at the big clock. Junie said, "This clock saw us first." Lila corrected, "Dad saw us first." Poppy whispered, and Mom came back. Dana Park joined them briefly now, more like family support than crisis responder. "You did good work," she told the adults. "The quiet work, the daily work." Graham nodded. "We're still learning." Dana smiled. "That's what healthy families do." They didn't reenact pain. They reclaimed the place with warmth. They bought hot cocoa, took a photo, hung a small ornament on a public holiday tree with permission. A tiny silver ornament. Poppy whispered, "It means we're safe." Graham swallowed hard. Yes, he said. It means we're safe. That night, the townhouse was alive, music, laughter, cookies cooling on the counter. The girls made a family banner that read, Alden Marlowe Crew. Ms. Rowe pretended not to cry. Noah helped hang paper snowflakes. Elise set the table, steady hands, steady breath. Graham stood at the head of the table with a glass of sparkling cider. He didn't give a grand speech. He gave a simple one. To the night that changed everything, he said. To the helpers who do their jobs with kindness. To second chances. And to 3 little girls who taught me what a home is. Junie raised her cup. To pancakes, Lila added, to plans, Poppy said softly. To love that stays. They clinked cups. And Graham realized this table used to look like wealth. Now it looked like life. Later, after presents and bedtime stories, the girls begged Snowman. Please. So the whole family went outside into the courtyard garden. The snow was gentle, falling like feathers. Graham rolled a snowball, awkward and laughing. Elise shaped the base. Noah found twigs for arms. Ms. Rowe brought a scarf. Junie placed the carrot nose with intense seriousness. Lila arranged buttons in perfect symmetry. Poppy pressed 3 small hearts into the snowman's chest. Why hearts? Elise asked. Poppy shrugged. Because it's alive with us. When the snowman stood complete, the girls stepped back to admire it. Junie said, it's big because our love is big. Lila said, it's stable because we planned it. Poppy whispered, it stays until it melts. But that's okay, because we remember. Elise's eyes filled. Graham wrapped an arm around her shoulders, slow, respectful, asking permission, with the gentleness of a man who finally understood. Elise leaned in. Noah smiled, hands in pockets, happy to witness rather than compete. Inside, the girls changed into pajamas. Graham read a story, one he'd written himself. A story about 3 stars that got lost, and a lighthouse that didn't let them disappear. When he finished, Junie yawned and said, Dad, do you still feel lonely? Graham paused. He didn't lie. He didn't overshare. He told the truth with warmth. Sometimes I remember the lonely parts, he said. But now I have you, and the lonely parts don't win anymore. Lila whispered. Because we're here. Poppy nodded sleepily. And Mom is here. Elise kissed each forehead, soft, steady, present. Graham turned off the light, leaving the nightlight on like a promise. At the door, Junie called out, one more time, Dad, yes, sweetheart. Junie smiled into the dark. Thank you for finding us. Graham's throat tightened. He answered with the line that carried the entire story, I didn't just find you. He whispered, you found me. He closed the door gently. Downstairs, the tree lights glowed quietly, and the mansion that once echoed with wealth and emptiness now held something priceless. A family, unconventional, lawful, gentle, and whole. Did this story move your soul? Share your feelings in the comments and rate it from 1 to 10. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, then tap the bell icon so you never miss a new story. Click the end screen to watch another heartfelt video. See you in the next story.